Udi, you have any upfront comments before we dive into the first question?
Yeah, so, well, look, I assume most people in the audience like have seen me around on Twitter, shit posting or whatever. And I've been a Bitcoiner for a while. I'm actually a software developer by trade, but I don't tweet about that at all. And well, actually, some people have said that they're curious to know what my actual views are. So maybe I think we'll have a chance to explore that. But first, I kind of want to apologize to the audience in advance because I'm not sure it's going to be exactly what they expect. Like, I think people are coming here because they expect some punching match between me and Dennis, and that's not what I'm planning to do. And I'll try to explain like my background for why I'm doing this. So, me and Dennis it's true. Me and Dennis were arguing on Twitter. I think it's definitely pretty common for me to argue with people. I think it seems to be like somewhat common for Dennis too, but I'm not sure. But we were arguing on Twitter, and it was about this Ethereum thing. And at some point, I think one of the people was in the replies, or maybe it was Dennis, someone offered to do a debate, Dennis versus me. And honestly, I said no. I said I'm not really interested in doing it. And I named a very high price in order to do it, which is what I usually do when I don't want to do something. I just say, yeah, just pay me a ton of money and then I'll do it. And the reason I wasn't interested is, well, there are two reasons. One, I'm not interested. I have no need to convince anyone in my views. I don't care. Like if no one believes or thinks as I do, that's fine by me. I've been around Bitcoin since probably, around 2014. And so, if you've been around then, you're used to people thinking that you're an idiot and that you're wrong. I'm fine with that. I really don't mind. So that's one reason why I wasn't interested. And the other reason is that I think Dennis is a great host of spaces and of podcasts, and I've listened to many of them to prepare for this. I think he's great at that, but I don't think he has a coherent position to debate. Honestly, I've listened to what he has to actually say. I don't think he has a coherent position to debate. So I just don't like, what are we going to debate exactly? That was my position then. But if we rewind to about a month ago, I reached out to Dan from CMS Holding, which is a very well-known, very successful crypto fund. And I asked him if he will be interested to donate some money for Bitcoin development. And back then he was positive about it, but I guess he was waiting for like the right opportunity to do it or something. And fast forward back to my argument with Dennis, CMS just showed up and said, hey, what if I donate some money now in order for you to do this debate, which I thought was awesome. And I was like, okay, if he's going to donate $200,000 for Bitcoin open source development, I'm definitely going to do this debate, even though I didn't really want to. But then I had a problem. Like, I didn't think this debate was going to be productive, but also I don't want to waste the time of the people who are here. So what are we going to do? Are we going to do this? And I think what I'm going to try to do, instead of like attacking Dennis personally, which I really have no interest in doing, I think what I'm going to do is just debate against this position of toxic Bitcoin maximalism, which I think it's something. I think that Dennis takes a lot of his ideas from this sort of movement. And I think that this movement, not Dennis personally, but this movement, I think, is harmful, and we will discuss what it's harmful for. So I hope that people listen to this. I assume that some of the people here kind of identify as toxic Bitcoin maximalists, so I hope that they will be able to take something from what I say. I know that this will seem like an attack, but it's not. I'm actually trying to help. So I hope they'll take something out of this. This is what I hope will make this productive, at least from my angle. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
All right. So
as far as what Udi is saying, yeah, I felt the same way when we were joking about, it was more of like a joke about debating, and some people were pushing me to do it and some people were saying not to do it. But then when the donation came in is when I really started to take a look and try to determine, what do we have that is different? What do we believe that is different? And there were some things that I was able to find, and then that's when we were able to develop some of the questions and the topics that we're going to go over today. But I do think that Udi, like, I think the biggest problem with Udi is that no one knows what his positions are, as he stated, because he is kind of keeps his cards close to his chest. So what I hope to do is to be able to kind of show the difference between some of the varying opinions in the Bitcoin community, because Udi's a Bitcoiner and I'm a Bitcoin maximalist, right? So there are some key differences there on what we believe in. And I do hope to be able to show why I believe Bitcoin maximalism is a positive, a net positive. What are some of the big problems at Ethereum, and what's going on in this NFT market, and why people should be more skeptical of the events that are occurring today in the crypto world around us.
So those of you just filing into the room who may have missed it, $200,000 was donated to get these guys to debate, from CMS Holdings to for Bitcoin Core development. So this may be the highest value Twitter space ever until Udi and Dennis bring the value down. So we'll see how this goes. With that being said, the first question these guys have agreed to is Ethereum a success? And Udi's going to go first.
Yeah, I like that joke about us bringing the value of the spaces down. Well, guys, I'm gonna try to make this. I think both of us are gonna try to make this interesting, even though I don't think it'll be what you expected. I think we're gonna make it as interesting. So look, Ethereum, is it successful? I mean, I believe that the answer is yes. But to answer that, I want to kind of offer an example first of what I'm going to say. And Dennis mentioned this debating ad with David Hoffman, who's like an influencer in the Ethereum community. And by the way, Dennis, I definitely wasn't trying to boot you out of the debate. I got invited on stage and I didn't plan to even speak. I just accepted the invite in order to boost the spaces. I didn't even intend to say a word, but then Mike asked me a question. Anyways, but back to that debate. I listened to it later. I listened to the recording, and I thought, some of the points Dennis made, I thought they were correct. Some of them were actually very, very wrong, or just factually incorrect, which is not great. But David didn't really press back. But my issue was actually not with the wrong ones. My issue was with the ones that were correct, that were not wrong. And the reason for that is, look, when you have a debate, you're gonna have like 80% of the people who are listening in. They only have a predetermined position, right? They only know who they're in favor of, and they're just there to like cheer for their guy punching the other guy. That's basically what it's about, and that's okay. But then you also have like 20% who are sort of open-minded. They're undecided. They don't know yet, and maybe 10%. And these are the ones that you can affect, right? Because the other ones, they're definitely not changing their mind. Like the Bitcoiners were not going to come out as Ethereans from that debate. But the thing is, I felt like even when Dennis was right in the debate, he was making arguments that are not good arguments because they convince the undecided to go to the other side. Like they were correct, but they did not understand the motivation of the people who are listening in. So, as an example, and I'm paraphrasing here, but Dennis said something like, and that's something that a lot of Bitcoin maximalists say, Ethereum is moving to proof of stake, and when that's going to happen, big holders will have too much power. And also, they will not want to ever sell their ETH. So how is ETH going to be money if they never sell their ETH? But the thing is, if I'm an undecided investor who has a lot of money and is listening into this, then I will say, that's probably true, but that's a reason to buy ETH because I'm going to make money because one, I will have more power, and two, no one else is going to sell. So, the Bitcoiners are right about that, but this is a reason to buy ETH, not a reason to not buy ETH. The investor doesn't care if it's decentralized. The investor doesn't care about fairness, doesn't care about anything. He's there to make money and to produce a return for his own investors. So this is kind of, it's a correct argument that convinces the undecided to go and buy ETH. And similarly, when you talk about things like decentralization and you talk about, about the pre-mine of Ethereum, right? Like Bitcoin maximalists love to mention the pre-mine. The thing is, if you're an undecided investor, you don't care about any of this. You don't care that 5 years ago there was a 70% pre-mine. You don't care that the nodes are not decentralized. You don't care. You want to make money. So, you say those things and you're actually convincing those people that they should buy ETH. And that's not great. That's not, I don't think that's what we're trying to do, right? So the reason that happens is, I think a lot of so-called Bitcoin maximalists, or more accurately, a lot of the toxic Bitcoin maximalists, they just don't take the time to understand the motivations of the people who are discussing those things. So they end up arguing into what those people are looking for, which is just, it's just a very bad argument to make. So it's much worse than saying something that's wrong. You're actually saying something that's correct, and you're convincing the other guys to do the opposite of what you want them to do. And that's something that keeps happening again and again and again with toxic Bitcoin maximalists, because they just do not want to look outside of their very small box. And so they don't understand the other side. They can't even debate them because they don't get what they're looking for. And so this concept is very applicable to the question of, is Ethereum successful? Is Ethereum successful as being Bitcoin? The answer is no, absolutely not. It is not a hard asset. I don't think it ever will be. It seems to me that it's impossible for it to become a hard asset for many reasons that Dennis argued very accurately during his debate. But that's not what they're trying to do, and they don't care either. Yeah, I know there's some like Ethereum influencers who say that ETH is ultrasound money, but that's a small sect in the in the Ethereum universe. Most of the people there, they don't care about that at all. It doesn't speak to them. They don't care. They want to buy NFTs and they want to do DeFi stuff, and they just want to speculate on the price. So they don't care if it's money or not money. And you need to understand what those people care about. So for them, I think it's successful. It's successful because it achieved a lot of great things. For example, this year it's completely broke into the mainstream with NFTs. Tons of celebrities are talking about NFTs, and people know what they are. Like if you go and ask someone what's an NFT, especially in the Western world, they'll tell you. They know, which is amazing. Like a year ago, no one knew what those letters meant. So how can you say that's not a success, right? They created one of the biggest and longest living online community ever. That's a success. You can't say that's not a success. That's a big achievement. Is it Bitcoin? No, it's not Bitcoin. It's never going to be Bitcoin. So what? It still achieved success. Another success that it achieved is that it generated huge returns to its investors, huge. And you can say about all of those things that they're temporary. You can say like, everything will go to zero. The price will go to zero. Mainstream interest will go to zero. The community will disappear. And maybe, I don't know, like maybe that's true. I can't tell the future. I don't think anyone in this room can tell the future. Maybe it will all disappear. Who knows? But that doesn't mean it's not a success right now. A lot of big companies, a lot of huge companies, eventually failed in later on. That's very common. You grow complacent or whatever, and you get replaced. That's very common. But it doesn't mean that those companies never achieved success. So I think Ethereum totally achieved success. And on that point, Dennis made the point on Twitter a few. I believe this is where my argument with Dennis on Twitter began, is when he tweeted that Vitalik is actually not smart. And he said, I think he referred to some technical decisions that Vitalik made. And I believe he, I might be like misquoting, but I think he said something about like maybe Vitalik doesn't understand Bitcoin, why Bitcoin is great. And that's why he's doing the Ethereum things. And that means that Vitalik is not smart. So while I do think that Vitalik understands Bitcoin, but maybe doesn't appreciate it, I don't know, that's very subjective. Either way, I think Vitalik is obviously extremely smart. Why is he smart? Because he achieved a very great thing. Like he built this thing not on his own, but he led it. He didn't just write the code. Actually, he probably didn't write a lot of code at all, but he led this community and he made it into what it is today, which is, again, one of the biggest and most influential online communities. You can argue it's smaller than Bitcoin. I think it is, but it doesn't matter. It's still very big and very successful. And if you do something like that, that means you're smart. I think Vitalik is smart, but for doing that and for managing to do it. A lot of people tried. There's so many people who tried to compete with Ethereum and didn't get anywhere near where Ethereum is. So it wasn't easy for him. He had a lot of competition. That's skill. That's probably some luck, but it's also being smart. And there's something incredibly pretentious, I think, in saying that it's not smart, because you're kind of saying, I could do the same. That's kind of what you're saying. I could do the same thing. I just have too strong of values, and I have too big of beliefs, and I can't bring myself to do the terrible thing that Vitalik did, quote unquote. And that's why I didn't do it. But I'm as smart as he is, maybe smarter. That's just incredibly pretentious. Things are difficult to do. So yeah, I think Ethereum is a success. I think Vitalik is smart for achieving that success. Did he make mistakes? Yes, many. I think Ethereum has a lot of mistakes in it, but some of them were solved and others were not. But Ethereum still achieved what it achieved, regardless of those mistakes. And still, Bitcoin is not, it stands unchallenged. I don't think Ethereum will ever be able to replace Bitcoin for what Bitcoin is, but that doesn't mean it's not successful. That's it.
Dennis?
Yeah, I would, before I really dive in, I'd just like to point out that I've said many, many times that I'm not very smart. I don't think that I'm smarter than anyone in particular. One of the main reasons why I attack Vitalik's intelligence is because no one else does. And I think it's important to make sure that we push back on people, even when their own community isn't willing to do it. To start with the success part, though, many will claim Ethereum is a success because it's the second most valuable coin, or it has the most developers, or it has a big community. Unfortunately, none of those metrics matter when you're talking about the success of a global monetary network. Success is measured by accomplishment of aim or purpose, and Ethereum has yet to accomplish its aim to solve any of the narratives that they have put forth. They haven't solved any problems thus far. That doesn't mean that they won't, but to claim that they are a success today requires a solution to a problem. For example, Bitcoin has solved the problem of money. We now have a money that can't be debased, can't be manipulated, and can't be controlled by centralized forces. This problem has existed for 10,000 years, so it's a pretty big deal to solve it. It's an ancient problem, and now it is no longer a problem. And no changes need to be made to Bitcoin to maintain this success, which is a very crucial part. Ethereum, on the other hand, hasn't solved any problems. In fact, they are still in the process of rebuilding their base layer after failing to meet multiple deadlines. Their system will in fact fall apart without regular human intervention. They have made many mistakes, mistake after mistake, from an illegal pre-mine to the breaking of immutability after the DAO hack. I don't believe Ethereum is a success. If they were a success, then why do they not keep hitting their deadlines? Why do they keep missing them? Why do they steal from the miners? Why do they keep changing their narratives? It's been World Computer, Bitcoin 2.0, ICO platform, open finance, ultrasound money, ESG clean money, DeFi platform, and NFT market. And I'm sure there will be more. They also continue to contradict themselves. Vitalik does this regularly. They seem to be mirroring pump and dump schemes like Hex more than they do Bitcoin. And they lie to their investors. As of today, Ethereum is being eaten alive by its competitors. Gaming has left to Binance Smart Chain. NFTs are leaving to Solana and other platforms. And DeFi is on its way out after the move to deflationary tokenomics, quote unquote. They have lost the plot and have even attempted to go after Bitcoin's label as sound money in a move of desperation. Ethereum has made so many mistakes along the way that you could label it as a success on exactly what not to do. As far as Vitalik is concerned, as I stated before, I want to push back on him and this narrative that he is of superior intellect and that he is some sort of person that we must revere. I mean, more often than not, when I see photos of him, he's being worshipped or positioned as someone who is holier than everyone else. Smart is very subjective. Despite that, I believe it's important to question Vitalik and his intelligence because, like I said, he's held up on this massive pedestal, has incredible influence over the Ethereum and crypto space, Anyone in that position should be questioned and pushed back on regularly. If the Ethereum community won't do it, a Bitcoiner will, just as a Bitcoiner had to help them figure out the total supply of ETH. What does it mean to be smart? I don't know. Like, many people will probably say they have all these metrics for what it takes to be smart. It's really hard to define. But what I can tell you, some things that I believe define a smart person, some things that characterize them, some things they would do and wouldn't do. To me, a smart person is multifaceted. They learn from their mistakes. They pivot when they've gone the wrong direction. They understand the scarcity aspect of money. They understand the importance of decentralization. They don't put $150 million of ETH into a poorly written smart contract. They don't run quantum mining scams. They don't constantly chain narratives on a whim. They don't run illegal security sales. They don't believe there will be thousands of currencies in the future. They understand base layers aren't good for smart contracts, dApps, or NFTs. They don't meet with brutal dictators such as Vladimir Putin. They understand that deflation doesn't make something sound money. They don't say we should avoid overly complicated systems to avoid chain splits, then build an overly complicated system that has chain splits. They understand why we need leaderless money. They can speak to the average person without technobabble. They don't call their blockchain decentralized when in fact it's not. They don't care more about their World of Warcraft warlock more than fixing the biggest problem in 10,000 years of using money. I've met a lot of smart people in my life. None of them are perfect. None of them are going to hit all of these. I certainly have missed many of them. But Vitalik has shown a history of poor decision and missteps along the way. Udi is claiming that, he's a great coder. He's smarter. He understands cryptography. But intelligence is much more than knowledge, as Udi said the other day. It is an understanding of how to apply that knowledge that makes a difference. And in this regard, Vitalik has proven he is anything but smart.
All right, I'll let you guys go back and forth for a little while, and then we'll move on to the Maximalism topic. Udi?
Yeah, so, honestly, Dennis, I'm not even sure if you listened to a single word that I said. I feel like you didn't respond to what I said. I feel like you were reading off of a script. And that's literally, I literally said that the successes of Ethereum are not about being a global monetary network. I agree with you. It is not a global monetary network. That's exactly what it's not. I said that. I said it cannot replace Bitcoin. Maybe I didn't make my arguments clear, but what I think is the reason I think that Ethereum is a success is because I think no one cares that it's not a global monetary network, and nobody cares that there was a pre-mine, and no one cares that the network will fall apart without intervention. It's true, in my opinion. Ethereum still needs intervention. It's not like Bitcoin. It's not stable. It needs intervention. So what? So does Amazon. So does Microsoft. So does Apple. They don't just work. They need people to lead them. And that's true for Ethereum as well. I just don't think that's a problem. And I'm really surprised that you it seems like, I said all those things when I answered the question. And it seems like you didn't even respond to any of it. And that's so typical for toxic Bitcoin maximalists. It's like, this is what always happens. It's like arguing with a broken record. You just keep saying the same things again and again. Oh, Vitalik has a quantum computing scam from when he was 17. The guy was a kid. Like, when I was 17, I was dreaming about being a filmmaker and making films about spaceships. That was a scam, but, he was 17. So it's like, you keep repeating those points. You don't even listen to what the other side says. You don't even listen to logic. You just, you have those. It's not you, Dennis. It's literally every toxic Bitcoin maximalist I ever talked to. You are incapable of listening to what the other side is saying if it's not specifically what we were prepared for. And you said before that I'm kind of not revealing my opinions and that I'm being unclear about what I think. I seriously think that's completely not true. I'm being very open. I keep, pouring my thoughts onto Twitter all the time. And the thing is, the reason that maximalists are confused by that, and not just the Bitcoin side, the Ethereum side too, they're confused by this because it doesn't fit their super extremely narrow point of view which says that you can only like one thing. It is impossible to like more than one thing. It is impossible to know and to learn about more than one thing and maybe not like it. Like, I actually do not like Ethereum. I hardly own any ETH. I own some in order to use it, but I hardly own any ETH. I don't like it at all, but I will definitely continue to learn about it because I think things are happening there that are important to learn about, at least for me. I don't require anyone else to do it. But yeah, so my view might be a little complicated. It might be a bit complex, but that's because, the world is complex. It's not black and white. So that's why. And it's really shocking to me that this is the normal position to have, ask questions, be curious. It doesn't mean you have to like everything. You can be curious about something without liking it. It's not insane. And you said a lot of things. I have to push back about how you said it. I'm claiming that Vitalik is a great coder. I literally said the opposite. I don't know if I'm that unclear, if you literally did not listen to a word I said. I literally said the opposite. I said, I don't think he actually was very much involved in coding, but he did so much more important things like leading and building this community over 5, 6, 7 years, however long that is. That's a huge feat. I don't think you could do it, Dennis. I know for sure that I couldn't. I think most people in this room couldn't have done it. I know that a ton of people tried to compete with him and do the same thing and failed. So that's an achievement. That's an achievement. It has nothing to do with cryptography. It has nothing to do with coding. Nothing at all. He's a leader. He is a leader. Now, I know that for a lot of Bitcoiners, this word leader is like triggering. That's fine. You don't have to like Ethereum, and you can say Ethereum has a leader and that's why I don't like it. Great. But some people want leaders. You have to understand that some people are not the same as you are. And that's all I'm saying here. I don't think that it's immoral to say it. I don't think it's immoral to recognize it. That's just what the world is. Am I immoral for recognizing that some people want leaders? I don't think so. So it's just I really hope that people can see that. I really hope that people in the room can see that I laid up a case for something. And the toxic Bitcoin maximalist response to the case is to completely ignore every single word that I said and just read off a script of this is why we don't like Ethereum because of quantum scams and pre-mines. I hope that this helps to make my point a little bit. Dennis.
Yeah, I heard what you said, and I think it's interesting that you would think he's a good leader because I could list off all of the qualifications that I had for smart people, and you could use the exact same ones for whether someone is a good leader or not. I think plenty of Ponzi scams have drawn large communities, and plenty of shysters have been able to form large communities. So it doesn't really say or state anything to insinuate that he is some sort of success because of the world that's been created around him. The world that's created around him has been built on lies. It's been built on the ability to steal from the miners in the community, as they've done repetitively, as they moved from 5 ETH per block to 4 to 3. And now they are burning those fees that usually go to miners. All they're doing to pump their own bags is stealing from other people in their community. And when they move from proof of work to proof of stake, they won't have miners to steal from anymore. And I hold the position strongly that they will find a way to steal from others in the community. And we always know throughout history that the people in power always win. And the people in power in a proof of work system or proof of stake system are the big holders and the developers. So I think that to claim that they're a success is a difficult position to hold if you're just talking about how valuable the token is and how big the community is, because it's all literally built on lie after lie and misstep after misstep. And they're now it's becoming exposed. They're getting eaten alive by other DeFi platforms, other NFT platforms, gaming platforms. Binance does more transactions per day than them. And DeFi is leaving very rapidly after this very odd and strange attempt to try to become ultrasound money, which I don't know if you, maybe I'm sure Udi understands what sound money is, but ultrasound money certainly is not something that they've accomplished. If you listen to the debate between me and David, he was clearly led through a series of questions that made him, I think, also realize that Ethereum is not ultrasound money. Just because something is inflationary or deflationary doesn't make it sound money. If you go look up the definition of sound money, first look up the definition of money, and then look up the definition of sound money, and you'll see that it has nothing to do with deflation or inflation. It's purely to do with the ability of that asset to stably hold value across time. So it's a lie on top of a lie on top of a lie, and they'll continue to lie until they're caught and people start to wake up. And I think that they will. One of the things that I think is really going to cause big problems for people at Ethereum is the move from proof of work to proof of stake. They've been screwing over the miners over and over and over again. And as the difficulty bomb comes for Ethereum, it will end the proof of work chain, destroying optionality along with it, which is really what we're all here for. We're all here to say, I want to choose this money. This is the money that I want to use. This is the network that I want to use. Ethereum doesn't give a shit about what you want. You follow them or you get left behind. And that's very apparent when they move to proof of stake, as they literally destroy and burn the boats behind them by destroying the proof of work chain. This is going to be a serious problem, though. What happens when you have security guards and you cut their pay and you cut their pay and you cut their pay, and then you tell them 6 months from now, we're going to fire all of you? Do you think that they are going to cooperate, or do you think that they're going to collude to find a way to bring some more benefit to themselves, to bring more value to themselves? It's already becoming very apparent that the miners are going to attack the network. They're going to attack the proof of work chain before the difficulty bomb hits through time-banded attacks, reorging the chain, and it's going to become very problematic for Ethereum. So I've been pretty firm on the belief that if and when they move to proof of stake, it's very likely that the project itself will fail. So I don't know, again, why you try to base your claim of success off of the value of the token, because if you just look at Hexcoin, like, it's going up through the roof. Does that mean it's a success? It's a horrible metric to use. And the same with community. It doesn't work to try to claim that because you have this large community of people that somehow it's a success. That community will very easily get up and move somewhere else, as we've seen with technologies all over the world, including social networks like MySpace and Facebook. Having a community is not a moat, and I think that it's going to be evaporated over the time. In the next 5 years, I'd be surprised if they have a community at all.
Yeah, you said a lot. I'm not going to address all of it, but some of it, man, Dennis, really, some of it is something else. Like you saying that proof of miners will collude to attack Ethereum, and it's very apparent. I mean, this is an argument for from 2 years ago, and so much has happened since then, and it's pretty much an established consensus now within Ethereum miners that they're not going to try to attack. But maybe I'm wrong on this. Maybe I'm surprised that you talk so much about Ethereum and you're not even up to date at all about what's going on, that you think this is like an imminent thing that's going to happen. I'm almost convinced that it's not. But if you are convinced that it's going to happen, I'll be happy to bet, choose, name an amount. We can bet, we can donate to charity. We can do whatever you want. This is free money. So please, I will be happy to accept a bet from you on just name your terms. I believe that there's not going to be, let's say, there's not going to be any meaningful and successful attack by miners against Ethereum during the switch to proof of stake. I don't think it'll be, maybe a couple of them will try something, but it's not going to be relevant. It's not going to be news. It's not going to affect anything. I think that the transition is going to be smooth as far as miner attacks are concerned. So first, are you interested in making a bet on this?
Happy to place a wager, although having a wager or not having a wager is not really a point to the argument. I think that it's very obvious the incentives will align for miners to attack the network as they approach the difficulty bomb deadline. But the problem with Ethereum is that they've moved that deadline back over and over again. It's very similar to the fiat system in that sense. We have the debt ceiling, and that we move back over and over and over again. And we use it as a way to slip in all sorts of different legislation. Oh, we got to meet. We got to do this. We got the deadline. It's an emergency. We got to make things change. Ethereum is mimicking the fiat system in more ways than we can imagine, this just being one of them. And I'm happy to place a bet on that if they do decide to move to proof of stake in the sense that they actually set the deadline and stick to it, I'd be happy to figure out terms with you after the debate.
Okay, great. So we'll do that. That's easy money. Let's pick a donation, a nonprofit we care about, and that's easy money. So let's definitely do that. I think you have no idea what you're talking about, honestly, on that point specifically. And you're right, by the way, about the incentives. Obviously, miners are going to be, they will not be able to mine Ethereum anymore, so they kind of have nothing to lose, but they also have nothing to gain because it's absolutely clear that they cannot do it at this point. So I think, they just cannot succeed. I mean, of course they can, they can try whatever they want, but they cannot succeed. And that's a pretty important point. But you also said some other things. You said that I'm basing the success of Ethereum on the value of the token or the size of the community. I'm trying to establish some way to measure success, and it's hard, right? Like measuring success, it's hard because you don't have like predetermined goals for what success is. And I was very clear in the beginning. I do not think Ethereum is ultrasound money. I do not think that it is a monetary network. I do not think it will ever be money. That's my very strong belief. I know that some people in the Ethereum community are saying that it is money or will be money, but okay, they're wrong. But a lot of people don't care about that, even in the Ethereum community. They don't care if Ethereum is money or not money. Obviously, for rational investors, the main thing they care about is generating a return. So that's, I think, a good way to measure success. But if you have other methods to measure success, please share them. But I suspect that your way to measure success will be something like, well, is it decentralized? Can it stand on its own without fixes? Is it hard money? And I agree with you. The answer to those questions is no. It is not decentralized. It is not hard money. It is not. It cannot stand on its own 2 feet without any fixes and any maintenance. But that doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. That doesn't mean it's not successful. Apple isn't decentralized either. Apple is not hard money either. It's still successful. So how do you want to measure it? If your measurement is it hard money, that's your right. That's your prerogative. You can decide that you measure success by is X hard money, but then keep in mind that by your definition, nothing in the world is a success. Nothing, absolutely nothing. Like if you start a family and you have children, they're not a success because they're not hard money. So that's, in my opinion, that's a very stupid way to measure success. Okay, that's just not. It's not useful. It's not. There's nothing in it. You can do it if you want. It's definitely in your prerogative, but that's not productive. It's not helping anyone. And it's just not, that's not a debate, that's not a discussion. So do you have any sort of measurement for what could happen that will change your mind about Ethereum being a success?
In my opening comments about Ethereum's lack of success, I mentioned that they need to have solved a problem. And I think it's very important that you have a vision and that you accomplish it. And they have yet to accomplish any of the narratives or visions that they've gone after. ETH is not what it claims to be. Apple is what it claims to be. So it's very odd that you would try to use that as an example. Ethereum regularly lies to its investors, regularly lies to its community members, pushes back deadlines, steals from its miners. I don't see any of that happening at Apple. So I see success as someone's ability to accomplish a vision that they've set in front of them without changing the narrative constantly in order to hype up the coin itself. Really, that's all it comes down to. Like, there's plenty of coins out there who are probably arguably more successful in the sense that they are very open about what they are and what they want to accomplish, and they're going after it. And I think that to claim that Ethereum is successful is a difficult position to hold, and I just would argue till the end that it's not. But I don't think we're going to agree very strongly or move the needle much more on this one. But if you'd like to continue talking about why Ethereum is a failure and why it will continue to fail, I'm happy to go on.
Maybe we should move on to the main topic.
Yeah, I think we should move on.
All right. So for those of you who are new to the room, there was a wager suggested here that might turn into a donation. You should know that CMS Holdings made a donation of $200,000. Actually, I think it was 400 million sats to be exact, to Bitcoin core development in order to make this space possible. So this is a 400 million sat space. All right, let's move on. Is maximalism healthy for Bitcoin? We're going to start with Dennis on this one.
Okay, yeah. So as far as maximalism is concerned, I think it's important to discuss where it came from. Maximalism was originally used as a slur by Vitalik to claim that Bitcoiners are closed-minded. It was inevitably reclaimed by Bitcoiners as a way to unite us as a group. Maximalism is not anti-anything. We are not closed-minded, but we do have certain beliefs. We believe that Bitcoin is the soundest money ever created. That absolute scarcity is a one-time discovery. We also believe that sound engineering matters and that integrity is important. The reason why maximalism is healthy for Bitcoin is it aligns incentives with others, economically and morally. It keeps scammers out and those with ill intent at bay, which is a very important part. It acts as a reinforcing mechanism to keep the community strong. It improves trust between parties. It gives a strong foundation for communities. It creates a community beyond borders. It creates an operating system of common values for the planet. Udi looks at maximalism and only sees negativity, but the bullshit filter in the Bitcoin community is valuable. It behaves like an autoimmune system to protect the decentralized community. Maybe Udi doesn't see the value in a tight-knit community that can depend on and trust each other. To me, maximalism is what keeps Bitcoin healthy because it keeps Bitcoiners from getting scammed. It keeps influencers from trying to take advantage of the group. It creates a foundation for a strong community and thus a strong society. Without maximalism, we would have lost the block size war and we would lose other wars in the future. So it is my position that not only is maximalism healthy, it is purely necessary.
All right. So, first of all, for me, this is mostly about toxic Bitcoin maximalism, so-called toxic Bitcoin maximalism, and not maximalism per se. I have literally for years, since I first started using Twitter, whenever someone asks me, Udi, are you Bitcoin maximalist? I always answered no, even though if you look at my portfolio, you will find that by far, the largest holding is Bitcoin. Like the others do not even come remotely close. But even though that's the case, I never wanted to use the term maximalism because it's a slur. Like, why would I use a slur on myself? I don't know why people choose to do that. It was started as a slur by Vitalik, and I don't choose to describe myself with slurs. But that's the reason I was always very consistent about not using it. But really, my problem is not with people who choose to only own Bitcoin. I think that's very reasonable, very reasonable. I mean, you can argue about it, but I think if someone doesn't want to look into the cryptocurrency space, doesn't care about the cryptocurrency space, that's totally fine. I still think that, if people need to choose between not holding Bitcoin and holding Bitcoin, they should still hold Bitcoin, even if they don't care about anything that happens in cryptocurrency. So I think that's a very, very valid and very reasonable position. I have nothing against it. What I have an issue with is this idea of toxic maximalism. Now, the first problem with it is that it's completely incoherent. Like, everything that toxic Bitcoin maximalists say contradicts everything else that they say. It just makes no sense when presented together. And, for example, Dennis, you just said that maximalism is great because it keeps scammers out. And I recognize this statement from an interview you had with Max Kaiser very recently. I listened to it. It was a great interview, by the way. I thought you did a good job, and I really like Max and Stacy too. However, it's funny that Max would say that, you know, maximalism keeps scammers out and keeps shitcoiners out when he issued at least one, if not two, shitcoins in recent memory. You can read about Startcoin, you can read about Maxcoin. You, Dennis, did not push back against this. Like, I wonder, where is the keeping scammers out that is so important? Now, I'm not saying that Max Kaiser is a scammer. I totally think that he's very, very useful to Bitcoin over the years. He converted a ton of people into Bitcoin, probably more than everyone in this room combined. I think he's amazing. I don't think that he issuing a shitcoin makes him a scammer. But by his own standards, and by your own standards, Dennis, and by the standards of toxic Bitcoin maximalists, he's 100% a scammer that should be kept out. We should not trust this guy. So how do we even, and you know, he made toxic Bitcoin maximalism his brand. So how does that even work? It's completely incoherent. It's completely incohesive. Like, how do you even hold both of those truths at the same time? I honestly don't get it. I think Max is great. Max, yeah, he issued some altcoins. Also, he's a great guy. So what? I think he's a great guy, but it just doesn't work. You're saying that Bitcoin maximalism creates a community without borders. I have to say, this is a very odd thing to say. You know, a lot of ideas can create communities without borders. Justin Bieber, for example, created a community without borders. You don't have to be a toxic Bitcoin maximalist in order to create a community without borders. I don't know. It's a very odd thing to say. My problem is specifically with the toxicity. And I'll tell you why. You know, people ask me, why is this a problem? What do you care? I'll tell you why not. It's not because I think that Bitcoin is going to have a problem because some people are toxic. Bitcoin is going to succeed. I believe that wholeheartedly. It already succeeded, and I think it's going to continue to succeed. The problem is not that Bitcoin will fail because some people are toxic on Twitter. However, I think it's bad for my own friends. Some of them consider themselves toxic Bitcoin maximalists, and because they consider themselves toxic, and because they try to appeal to their own friends who consider them toxic, they just miss out on everything that's happening in the world because they will not open their minds. Now, I know, like, this is the thing with debating this issue is that I already know what you're going to say. Like, again, toxic maximalists are like a broken record. I know how you're going to respond to this. You're going to say, well, but it's all a scam. We don't need to be open-minded about it because it's all a scam and it's all trying to get our money. But, like, the thing is, you know, some of those things are very hard to describe as scams. Like, for example, you have Bitcoin exchanges. What they do is they convert fiat into Bitcoin. Okay, that's what they do. That's their job. And every exchange that started after 2017, literally every single one has a token. Every single one, they have a token. And the token, you know, you could argue about it. You can argue about the compliance aspect of it, and you can definitely argue about the trust aspect of it. But the idea of the token is that the exchange shares the revenues with the holders of the tokens. Is it legal? I don't know. Is it trustworthy? Only if you trust the founders of the exchange. But that's what they're trying to do. And is that a scam? I really don't think it's a scam. I think that you can try to, you can manage risk and choose if you want to invest in it or not. I can't decide for you. But like, it seems like a very reasonable proposition for me, putting aside the fact that it might be illegal in some jurisdictions. So that's just one area of innovation that is very, like, they're not trying to be money. They're not trying to compete with Bitcoin. They're not trying to be anything. It's very obvious what they're doing. It's very similar to equity, but it's not. And you can choose if you want to invest in it or not. That's not a scam. That's taking a risk. And you can choose if you want to take it or not. So if you're going to tell everyone who's a Bitcoiner that they should not invest in anything that appears on CoinMarketCap solely because it appears on CoinMarketCap, then now they cannot invest in Bitcoin exchanges. Isn't that an odd position to take? How is that coherent? I think it's completely incoherent. It's also bad financial advice because apparently those tokens outperformed Bitcoin, outperformed a lot of other things. Because guess what? Crypto exchanges and Bitcoin exchanges are doing great. They're doing amazing. They're having a very good year and a very good few years, actually. So I care about this, and I think it's harmful because I look at my friends, my actual friends, and I'm saying they will not want to take part in this, even though they have domain knowledge. They understand this business sector. They have an advantage over other people, but they don't want to take it because they think it's a scam. And it's not a scam. you can say a lot of things about it. There are risks in it for sure, many risks, much more than investing in Apple for sure, but it's not a scam. So that's why I'm saying it's harmful. I think it's harming those people.
So since, Udi, you brought Max Kaiser into this, now I'm confused because I thought maximalism meant followers of Max Kaiser. Okay, sorry for the dad joke. It's now on.
Good comedic break. Yeah, so I think there's a misunderstanding when it comes to maximalism and what the goals of maximalism actually are. I don't think that it's us wanting to go around and convince everybody that they should be a maximalist and that we're going to never interact with people that are maximalists. It's more, I would say, a quick and effective way to identify others that agree with you. And that's important. You can see the impact that these systems have had in the future, in the past with organized religions. So for instance, Christianity was a very important common value set that people held and still hold. And it's very important for organizing communities and for increasing trust between trade partners. Obviously, Christianity has fallen from its original, I would say, like high spot as the common value set for everyone. But nonetheless, it had massive impacts in the 14th and 15th and 16th century, and the ability and the desire for people to build communities together and to trust one another. And that is essentially what is happening here with Bitcoin. We are almost like a secular religion to some degree. I don't like to use the word religion. I came from very hardcore Christianity, and so I typically have I'm turned away from organized religion. But the thing that I love about Bitcoin maximalism is that it's not organized. It's actually decentralized, and it's very different from religion in the sense that we don't need anybody. We aren't incentivized to force it on people. We want natural allies. We want people with integrity. Like I said earlier, we want people that believe that Bitcoin is the soundest money ever created, and to believe in the one-time discovery of absolute scarcity. But as far as the global community is concerned, I think that's an important point because as a Bitcoin maximalist, I can travel anywhere in the world and find other Bitcoin maximalists and be able to set up shop and build trust, build relationships, and build community at a much faster rate because of the fact that I know that we have a common value set. Common value sets are very important. I think that Bitcoin maximalism will be the greatest value set operating system that humankind has ever seen. I know this for myself, at least, as an anecdotal experience, because Christianity didn't work for me. There were too many rules, too many obligations. I'm very rebellious. And I don't know if you've noticed, but the Bitcoin community seems to be filled with the rebellious types. How is it that the rebellious types, the disagreeable ones, as Breedlove said in that interview, are able to get together and agree and go under the pressures of the social pressures of being in a community? It's a very interesting part of Bitcoin maximalism. I think that Bitcoin's incentives are so strong and aligned so dramatically that even the most rebellious of us are willing to go through the fire and make sure that we get to be a part of this extremely valuable community. Because being in Bitcoin is one thing, but being a Bitcoiner is a totally different aspect. And it seems almost like unfortunate that, Udi, you haven't been able to experience that level of Bitcoin maximalism where you feel like you can trust anyone and everyone in your community. It's a very valuable aspect to being a Bitcoiner. And I think that's why Bitcoin maximalism is extremely healthy, because it keeps us tight-knit, keeps the bullshit out, keeps the scams out, keeps the influencers in line. Even Max Kaiser. You want to talk about Max Kaiser? I mean, look at how he's reacted now. He doesn't want to talk about it at all. He wants to be back in line with the community. And your claim that he founded Maxcoin, I don't think that's exactly accurate. I think it was actually founded by others, and he was told to get involved with it. Very early days. There's some level, I think, of forgiveness for people who are very early and get involved in some of these things. I don't think anybody really knew what was going on. And for years now, Max Kaiser has been pretty staunchly Bitcoin only, pro-Bitcoin, shitcoin. So it's not really a strong position to hold. But yeah, maybe we should question him a little bit more on him. Happy to have him back on the show to talk about it if he's interested in talking about it. I'm not just going to attack people offhandedly when they come on my show. Even Breedlove had warning that I wanted to talk about the BitClout scandal. So it's not like I just bring people on my show and just fucking launch in on them. So it's the ultimate point here, though, is that it does keep people in line. Look at what happened to Breedlove. He wants to get back in the community. Look at what happens with Max Kaiser. He wants to be a part of the community, and they are incentivized to align with the plebs instead of the plebs in lining with them. And that's, I think, very powerful.
It seems you can get a bit of a break, though, if you're funny enough. And I think that's Udi's niche. Anyway, go ahead, Udi.
Well, some people will argue that I'm not funny at all, so I'm not sure. But I'll say this. First of all, very briefly about Max Kaiser and Maxcoin. I don't know exactly what happened in Maxcoin. I remember that Max Kaiser talked about it a lot, but more importantly, clearly founded Startcoin. You can look into Startcoin. That's what I said, that he founded Startcoin, which is another coin. You can look into that later. It's not very interesting, but he definitely did it. He and his wife were interested in it, which is great. I think it's great. They did an experiment. Good for them. You say that people deserve some slack for being early. I kind of agree with you, but also keep in mind that a lot of people are early now. Like a lot of people joining the space this year or this month, and for them it's early. So, they're going to make mistakes too. They're learning. So when people learn and you call them scammers, they're never going to talk to you again. You can do that if you want. Like most of them are never going to talk to you again. Some of them are going to like crawl back. You mentioned Breedlove and Max Kaiser. Some of them are going to crawl back, but most people are just not, they're just, okay, you call me a scammer for trying something out, so I'm just not going to talk to you anymore. And this brings you to another point. You're kind of right about how this is, a common set of values, and common set of values creates community. Of course, you could choose any common set of values that you want. Your common set of values could be, I'm a Justin Bieber fan, and that will help you meet people too. But it's okay. You can have the set of values of Bitcoin maximalism if you want and meet people that way. But think about all the people that you don't meet because you leave out. Think about all the people that you call scammers. That's probably like 90% of the people who you're never going to meet them. You're never going to interact with them. They're never going to trust you. They're never going to believe in your values. And it doesn't have to be this way. Like look at Robinhood recently released their the whatever statement, and they said that I believe 40% of the trading volume. I think I'm not wrong with this, but maybe I am. But it's roughly 40% of their volume was crypto trading, and Robinhood is like the main venue where where young people are trading stocks these days. So 40% of it was crypto. Out of that 40%, wasn't Bitcoin, wasn't even Ethereum, it was Doge. So you can laugh at that. You can say those people are stupid because they're trading Doge, or you can accept that there's something they're interested in that you probably don't understand. And you don't have to understand if you don't want to. But the thing is, if you're going to call them all scammers, that's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. You're going to call all of them idiots? All of them? Then who's going to be left? Who's the person who's going to buy Bitcoin after you called literally every young person who was introduced to investing in 2020 and 2021, literally all of them, you call them stupid and scammers. Who's left? Who's left? You say you want to meet people. You say you want to spread your common values. How can you do that if you call literally the entire young population of the United States idiots? I don't understand that. How is that productive? I really don't get it. The last thing on that, which is kind of important in my view, you said that you feel sorry for me that I wasn't exposed to this and I wasn't able to find a community in the Bitcoin maximalism. It's funny that you say that. First of all, I've been doing your shtick. This is why I know every single word you're gonna say. I've been doing your shtick for years. Okay, I've been doing this since forever. I know everything you're going to say, all of your arguments. I've made them before. I met all of those people. They're my friends. I still consider them my friends, even I disagree with some of them. They're very good friends of mine. So I definitely did have that experience. And you're right. It's great. They're great people. But you don't have to be that close-minded. You don't have to be like that. You can explore other things. And you can not like them. Again, you can explore Ethereum and not like Ethereum. It's possible. Trust me, I know. You don't have to be closed-minded. You don't have to be toxic to everyone around you in order to meet those people and be part of the community. I think I've shown that. And I know I'm not going to convince you, Dennis, but again, I hope that some of the people who are listening into this at least can see that there's some logic in the idea that you can get along with people even if you disagree with them on some points. It's not even a lot of points. We agree on most things. So I hope people see that. You don't have to be a toxic asshole in order to get along with people that you appreciate and you share values with. I promise you. It's not necessary. You can do it if you want to, but you don't have to.
I'm disappointed to hear that it's a shtick for you. It's not a shtick for me. And I don't call people scammers or idiots. If they want to learn, I'm happy to educate them. I spent thousands of hours on Clubhouse and on Spaces educating new people every day. We don't need them, though, if they don't want to learn. They will eventually own Bitcoin one day or another. If an influencer also isn't willing to crawl back, they don't understand Bitcoin, and we don't need them either. We don't need anyone. We only want the best people. Maximalism is about finding people that agree and building a community together. I don't want or need people to be a part of my community if they aren't interested in upholding the same values as me. So I definitely agree that Bitcoin maximalism can be a little tough sometimes, but tough love is necessary in the world that we live in. And I don't have any issue with pushing back against real scammers, which I don't know where there's this notion that just because some people on Twitter are mean, that like all Bitcoiners are these horrible human beings that just attack people at will. I mean, this is Twitter. Like every single Twitter community has their groups of people that are overly aggressive. There's nothing that you can do to stop that. But the average Bitcoin maximalist, those are some of the best people that I've ever met. Some of the most caring, nurturing, some of the most willing to spend unlimited amounts of time working for free to educate and to help push different political agendas in the country. So I think Bitcoin maximalism is extremely healthy. And in regards to the political arena, that's when I really realized like how valuable Bitcoin maximalism is and how important it is to know that you can trust other people. In politics, it's very well known and very well understood that you always got to watch your back and you need to watch out for yourself. I've been involved in politics many times. I've helped 4 candidates win their primaries. I've been a campaign manager. I've been trained in campaign ops. And so I've seen the dark side of politics. And when I work in the political arena with other Bitcoiners, for the first time ever, I'm not worried about who is calling the candidate that I'm working with. In the normal world, I'm highly concerned about every word that's said, every conversation that occurs, because I have to carefully make sure that a candidate I'm working with isn't going to be manipulated by others on the ground, which is very common. But in Bitcoin maximalism, we all have the same goal and we all have the same desire, and that's to make sure that the United States is the best place to buy, sell, trade, earn, mine Bitcoin. We want the infrastructure here. We want the nodes here. And I can trust that other people that are communicating with a candidate I'm working with aren't going to deviate from that path. That was when I really woke up to this idea of how powerful it is to be a part of Bitcoin maximalism, because I can trust others that I work with. And that allows for a much more effective objective, that allows for us to achieve the objective in a much more effective way.
Yeah, I'm okay with moving on. I think we both made our positions clear.
All right, let's go on to the last topic. Question is, are NFTs just pump and dumps, or will they have merit in the future? And this time we'll start with Udi.
Yeah, the funny thing is, I actually don't have a lot to say about NFTs, right? Like, are there pump and dump dynamics in them. Of course, there are. There are pump and dump dynamics in every asset that is tradable on Earth, and they exist on NFTs too. NFTs are much newer, and it's a much smaller market. So you're going to have more than average, probably a lot more than average, as long as it's small. That's usual. It was the case with Bitcoin too, when Bitcoin started. So I'm not saying that NFTs are going to become as important in Bitcoin. I think they never will. However, using the argument that there are pump and dumps to claim that something can never be important is ridiculous, because it is a fact that there were a lot of pump and dumps in Bitcoin, arguably still are. And here we are with Bitcoin being very important a few years later. So that alone doesn't mean that NFTs can never be important. It's just not a good argument. You can say it if you want, but that's a lazy argument. And that's what poor people say in order to stay poor, basically, in all types of assets. So that's about, being a pump and dump. Now, what's going to happen with NFTs in the future? I don't know. I honestly don't know. First of all, I'm old. I'm way too old for NFTs. You need to ask people who are younger. And that's the main thing. Dennis hosted this debate or panel, I don't know how to call it, about NFTs. I missed some of it, but I also listened to some of it. Not because I wanted to, but because I needed to prepare for this. It was pretty bad. Not because of Dennis, by the way. I think Dennis is a great host. I said it before. I still think so. Dennis is a great host. However, the people who were at the panel, at least in the parts that I listened to, which were the majority, either never tried NFTs even once, or tried it very, very briefly and probably a long time ago. And I might have missed some of it. So maybe there were some people who were more knowledgeable, but the majority of it was just, 10 people who never tried NFT shouting at each other why NFTs are scams and why they have no value and why it's not real property and why it's not this and why it's not that and why it's not whatever. And it's so absurd. Why would 10 people who agree with each other on everything, they never bother to try? Like, you could try NFTs with like $50. Why not? Like, if you care about it. If you don't care about it, then don't. But if you care about it and you want to understand it, like, how can you ever tell if the NFT market is going to be something if you refuse to participate? You think it's immoral of you to participate. Then how can you ever tell? You know what? Let's say it is immoral, which I find ridiculous. But let's say it is immoral, according to some arbitrary set of morals that toxic Bitcoin maximalists created for themselves. So let's say NFTs are somehow immoral. That does not mean they will not succeed. Sometimes immoral things succeed. So if the question you're interested in is, are NFTs going to be big, then how could you possibly tell without participating? The idea that you should talk about it and you should have an opinion about it without participating is insane. You don't do that about anything. And it's so easy to participate. So why won't you? Again, I can think of one reason why not to, and that's because you don't care and you're not interested. That's very valid. I think most people in the world don't care about NFTs and they don't want to participate. That's great. But if you care about it so much that you're going to sit around in a debate with 10 people and all of them agree that it's a scam, and they're talking about it literally for hours upon hours, like probably went on for 3, 4, I don't know how many hours. How is it possible that you're so interested in it and you refuse to try it? Maybe you're missing something. How can you possibly know that you're not missing something if you're not trying it? And then the arguments for it are just so stupid, like, because it's not real property and because you can save it and you can copy it and you can look. If you tried it, you would have understood that people don't care about it. They don't care. They don't care that you can right click and save it. Just don't care. They know. They're not stupid. They know how photos on the internet work. Everyone knows. Like, do you honestly think that everyone who's trading NFTs, that's a lot of people, and everyone was talking about them, do you honestly think that they're all idiots, that they don't know that you can right click and save an image? Do you think that you discovered something? Everyone knows it. Everyone knows. But they don't care. So instead of asking yourself, why is it that so many people don't care about this very obvious fact, and going into the sector and trying to learn, trying to answer this question for yourself, instead you're just calling them scammers and stupid and idiots. So I can tell you one thing, you're probably never going to understand. If this is your approach, you'll never understand. Does that mean that NFTs will be huge? I don't know. How the fuck am I supposed to know? I don't know the future, and I'm way too old to understand NFTs. I accept that, but it's not impossible that they will, and you will never understand why. Never. You will sit by and you will watch them grow and grow and grow, and you will never be able to explain till the last of your days what happened, because you never agreed to take 5 minutes out of your day and $50 out of your wallet to find out about something you cannot stop talking about for weeks and months. You cannot stop talking about it. So that's my position on NFTs. I don't particularly care about them a lot. I think some of them are cool. I think it's fun. And to the morality issue, I think the nice thing about NFTs as opposed to the scams of 2017, in 2017, you really had like ICOs that promise that they're going to have flying cars on the blockchain, which is so ridiculous and stupid that I understand why people riled up against it. It was disgusting. But with NFTs, they're telling you, here's a picture of a dog. If you want, you can pay $1 million for the dog. If you don't pay $1 million for the dog. That's it. That's all it is. If you choose to do it, that's on you. I don't think it's a scam. I think I wouldn't do it, but if someone wants to do it, why? Like, how is that a scam? That's like, everything is laid up perfectly. Everything is clear. They can do it if they want. The question of will it be big or not is a separate question. And in order to find out, you'll have to try to participate. You'll have to learn about it. You can't sit on the sidelines and, just get mad at them without even understanding what they are and expect to understand. You can be mad. You can be mad if you want. You can be mad all your life, but don't expect to understand. You will never understand.
Yeah. It's interesting that Udi says, I won't understand, and I've never played in the market, and I've never purchased an NFT. I'm not an idiot, dude. I messed around with these things. I've played with the technology. I understand what's going on. My position on NFTs is not that they are directly a scam. In fact, if you look back at any of my tweets, you won't ever find a tweet calling NFTs a scam. In fact, the room that I was holding, no one in there was directly claiming that NFTs are a scam. I don't know if you maybe caught the tail end of the
Dennis. I just want to quickly.
Audience.
I just want to very quickly interject, just to keep the winds calm. I did not mean that you didn't try. I did not mean that you personally don't know. I meant the position of toxic Bitcoin maximalism is very strong on let's not try this. That's what I meant when I said to you. It was the royal you. I didn't mean you personally. Just to clarify, please go on.
You may have caught the tail end of the conversation, which was just an open dialogue where pretty much anybody was allowed to come up on stage. I brought in experts and people that understand and do trade NFTs and do understand the market to communicate their position. I had people that were pro NFT and people that were anti NFT. So unfortunately, you may have caught the tail end where we were allowing anyone from the audience to come up and ask questions. But my position is I do believe this current market is a pump and dump. I also believe that the average person is being lied to on what exactly they are purchasing. They are being lied to in the same way that the ICOs were a lie. The token didn't bestow any rights or ownership on the company that ICO'd, and the NFT also doesn't bestow any rights or ownership over the art itself. Will NFTs have a use case one day? My guess is as good as yours, maybe, who knows. But the current state of this market is pure mania and will end in 99% of NFTs going to zero. My biggest problems with NFTs is that they are being marketed in a way that is entirely deceptive to the average person. Digital art can be copied, can't be controlled, technically can't be destroyed. Anyone can take it from you. Anyone can use it. Physical art, on the other hand, can't be perfectly copied, can be possessed by one person, can be destroyed, and ownership is easy to enforce. NFTs, it's not true ownership, doesn't give IP, does not allow for copyright, doesn't bestow property rights over the item, it's not enforceable in courts. Digital art can't be displayed wherever you want to display it. And when it comes to copyright and IP law, it's extremely messy. Every country has their own laws. Some won't even let you display it in the metaverse without IP and copyright. But this isn't being told to the average person. The average person believes that when they buy the NFT to a digital item, that they now own that digital item. And that is a lie. And that is what I am doing when I talk about NFTs. I am trying to point out this lie. I'm not trying to say NFTs inherently are a scam. I believe that the NFT market is purely built on hype and the desire to trade and make more money. You can see it when you go into these rooms. All they're talking about is what's going to be the next collectible, what's going to pump next. They aren't in it for the art. They aren't in it for the item. They're simply there to speculate on the future collectible value of those items. But that's not what's being sold to the average person. They don't know that these Telegram and Discord channels are working to essentially pump specific items. The average person believes they own the item, and that is just an absolute lie. And I think it's important that when you are in this market and you're talking about people's money that they spend a lot of time and energy to accumulate, that we're very, very honest about what it is someone is purchasing.
Do we want to move on to questions, or do we want to keep up with this a little bit longer?
I would like to stay on a little longer.
Yeah. I think we can explore this a bit more. Dennis, you said that the current state is pure mania, and I mean, I agree with you. The current state of the NFT market is pure mania. But again, I touched on this before. They said the same thing about Bitcoin. They said it so many times about Bitcoin. They said it in 2011, they said it in 2013, and then 2014, and 2016, and 2017. And by the way, they were always right. Whenever they said that, it was true. The Bitcoin market was frothy. The price was too high. It dropped sometimes 80, 90% lower and stayed there for years. They were right. Every single time they said it, they were right, except it kept going up later. And that's the thing I don't know, and you don't know either, about NFTs. Is it going to implode and disappear, or is it going to keep going up? I don't know. It is frothy right now, and there is going to be a point in time. It could be today, it could be in a week, it could be in a month, it could be in a year, but at some point, the market is going to top and it's going to crash. That is true. That is 100% correct. And if you're going to spend, a house worth of money on a picture of a monkey, then you should know that this could happen to you at any point in time. So if all you have in the world is a house, I would not recommend that you do it because it's too risky and you might end up being homeless. But for some people who own 25 houses and then a bunch of other assets, maybe they're fine gambling on it. Maybe they believe in it long term and they're fine with going through a 3-year period of bear markets or whatever. I don't know. I don't care. Like, it's their theses and they can play it out. I don't think it makes it a scam. Just the fact that the markets are frothy right now doesn't mean anything. It's true for every asset in its infancy. It's been true for Bitcoin for years. It's still true for Bitcoin right now. The asset that you consider so moral and so great and so worthy of nearly religious adoration, even Bitcoin right now is suffering from the same thing, just on a smaller magnitude because it's been around for so long that it doesn't happen as often. Again, I'm not saying that NFTs are going to be as big as Bitcoin. I don't think they will be. And either way, I think that Bitcoin is way more important. I really believe that. Like, orders of magnitude more important than NFTs. But it doesn't mean that NFTs are a scam. Just none of what you said say that they're a scam. On the point of property rights, I mean, it's kind of true. And, you said that they don't grant you IP rights. So I don't know if you know this. You should have known this, but I don't know if you know this. A lot of the NFT projects actually claim that they do grant owners IP rights. Now, and some of them even, they try to anchor that in some form of a legal agreement, some form of a legal contract that said that, the wording would say that whoever holds the actual token owns the copyright for the artwork. Now, it's never been tested in court, so I don't know right? It's definitely possible that this will get to court one day, and the court will decide this is not valid, maybe for reasons like different jurisdictions, maybe for another reason. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know. I can't predict that. But the point is, they're trying. Your point of view might be that, oh, they're not trying. They're just scammers, and they're saying it in order to pump the value. Maybe. I can't read other people's minds. But also, maybe they're trying. Whether or not it's going to work out, I do not know. None of us know. It will never be known until it's tested in court. And this is one of the risks that investors are taking upon themselves. If you buy a Bored Ape, then in order to print T-shirts of said Bored Ape, and you think you'll make a lot of money that way, then you need to take the risk that maybe the issuers of the Bored Apes will one day sue you, and the courts will decide that you don't actually have the rights. I don't think it will happen, to be honest with you. I don't think the founders of Bored Apes will sue you if you print the T-shirt. But maybe, maybe. That's one of the risks you have to take. It's a new field, and we don't know the answers, and people who choose to invest in it have to take the risks. That's why I do not walk around recommending to people to spend $200,000 or $2 million or $20 million on an NFT. If they want to, I don't think they're scammers, but I'm not walking around telling people to do it. But it's a business decision. People can choose if they want to do it or not. I don't think it makes it wrong. It's an experiment. That's all it is. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And you also said it's not like you mentioned a lot of the properties of physical arts, and you said that the digital art is not like that. And I agree with you 100%. It is not like that. It is different. It is something else. People who buy them know that it is something else. They know that they do not own a physical picture of a cat. They know. So they can choose if it's valuable for them or not. For some people, evidently, it is valuable. For you, evidently, it is not. That's great. That's how things work in the world. But that doesn't mean the people who see that as valuable, scammers, doesn't make them immoral, doesn't mean the problem. Once you take those people who are just, they're experimenting or they're believing in something, they're younger than both you and me, Dennis. Maybe they know something we don't. It happens with young people. That's the way the world works. You take those people, they're experimenting with things, and you're telling them, you're scammers. Bitcoin does not fit your values. Your values oppose the values of Bitcoin. So now you lost them. Why would you want to do that? Why? I do not understand. Why would you want to do that? What I would want to do, and what I do, by the way, is to greet those people and say, hey, did you make some money on picture of dogs? That's great. Good for you. You recognize the trend. You profited from it. You're an entrepreneurial person. Good for you. Now, I think you should take some of your profits and put it into the best asset on earth, which is Bitcoin. Instead of keeping it in USD or in whatever, take some of it and put it aside in Bitcoin for your children and grandchildren. I think they will thank you. And then keep doing your NFT games and keep buying Doge, keep doing whatever you want, but make sure that you have some Bitcoin. Unfortunately, the toxic Bitcoin maximalists are like, no, you know what? You're actually stupid, and you're actually not only stupid, you're bad people, and we don't want anything to do with you. And that just strikes me as such an odd thing to say. And by the way, you're right, in my opinion, about saying that eventually they will come to Bitcoin. And I think that's kind of true. But why would you want to screw them over and make sure that they come over to Bitcoin in 10 years instead of now? Why? Why do you pose that as a moral thing to do, as a good thing to do? How is that good? How is that good for anyone? You just scared someone away. How is that good? This is strictly bad. Anyone who can use their two eyes can see that this is not a good thing to do. So, and this is the incoherency and the incohesiveness of the toxic Bitcoin maximalism ideal. Like, you can be a Bitcoin maximalist if you want. You can only own Bitcoin if you want. I think that's reasonable. But calling other people stupid or idiots or scammers, or they just don't get it, or they don't understand the values of Bitcoin just because they bought an elephant. I mean, dude, come on. That's just completely incohesive. Help them. You say that you want to help people. You had this tweet where you said that most people don't know how to speculate and don't know how to trade. I'm paraphrasing. And we need to protect them. It was such a funny thing to say, because this is literally what the SEC chairman says. We need to protect these people from Bitcoin because they don't understand it and they might lose their money. So if you claim that you want to help these people, the way to help them is to introduce them to the values of Bitcoin. Tell them why Bitcoin is great and how they can combine what they love doing, which is buying cats online, with owning Bitcoin, instead of saying that they're dumb and they shouldn't do it. That's, I think, a productive approach.
Yeah, I've said many, many times during this call, and you can look back at the receipts of my tweets, I do not call people scammers. I've been educating artists and NFT flippers for some time about storing their wealth in Bitcoin. I don't ever really call people scammers. And so this is the 6th or 7th time that you have claimed that I am calling people scammers, which is, it's amounting to an ad hominem attack on my character. So I would ask you to stop saying that I call people scammers, because it's just categorically untrue. Yeah, I do believe in protecting people and helping them. I believe in a version of monetary justice. I don't think I'm not okay with people being led down a wrong path. I don't think someone's a scammer because they buy an NFT and they want to make money off it. I don't think they're a scammer because they believe the bad marketing. But I will try to educate them and help them to understand why NFTs will ultimately drop dramatically in value. Some of the reasons why I work so hard to help protect people is because I personally have been extremely poor multiple times in my life. I don't know your background, Udi, so I won't try to make any claims, but I've lived next to people who are living into cardboard boxes in Mexico. I've seen the pain of someone who has been extremely poor. Myself, in my adult life, I have been homeless. I wasn't living on the streets, but a very few financial decisions impacted my life so dramatically, and it took years to recover from. So when we're talking about people's money and their ability to profit or lose, I think we need to be very careful. You don't know their personal finances. And if you aren't at least warning people regularly that this market is pure hype and mania, which I haven't seen come from you, but I would love to see more of it, then you are potentially contributing to some very bad outcomes in people's lives. And I think it's our responsibility as maximalists to help guide people through this crazy crypto world. Not everybody's going to want to do it, but I have a personal reason for why I try to work so hard to help people avoid these things. Plenty of you have tons of money. You will never care. But there are people who are entering this market who have nothing or next to nothing and are just trying to get ahead. And if you aren't looking out for that person, then I think it's extremely irresponsible to be giving financial advice in this market. I do have an interesting question for you, though. You said you've used NFTs before. What kind of NFTs do you have? Do you own any digital art?
Yeah, I do own NFTs. Not a lot. I do own some. I'm not gonna mention them because I don't want to come off as shilling them. I don't want to come off as saying that they're a good investment. So I'm not going to mention them. It's, by the way, this is like an answer that this is something I'm thinking about myself. Like, is it better to disclose everything that I own? Will this make things more moral because people know what I own, or is it better to not talk about them at all, as to not try to convince people to buy them just because they know me? I'm not sure what's the best way, but either way, for now, I'm not going to talk about them. I will say though, it's tiny. Like their value is very, very low, definitely compared to the rest of my portfolio. So that's not the issue. I have a question though. Is there a way I can share a tweet?
Do you own any NFTs? Is a pretty simple question. Sounded like that was a yes.
I said yes. I answered.
Do you
Dennis,
own
do you listen to
digital,
what I tell you? I said yes.
It sounded like
Clearly.
a yes.
I said yes.
Do you own any digital art?
I used the word yes. I'm not sure you're listening to any word that I say.
Do you
own
are you asking if I
own digital art? we talked about this. I don't know if owning an NFT equals to owning digital art. I don't know what the answer to that is. I explained thoroughly that some of the NFT projects claim to grant you IP rights. I do not know if this will be proven in court to have any weight. I do not know. So I don't know the answer. I can tell you that I don't care. Whether or not I own the digital artwork, I don't care. The reason I own the NFT is not to be able to say that I own the artwork. So I don't know.
Well, do you own any of the IP or copyright of the digital art?
I answered, some of the projects claim to grant you IP rights. I do not know if this claim is going to be valid in court.
Have you received any digital art that is backed by, at least by the word of owning the IP? So you don't have any IP or copyright?
What are you asking me, Dennis? Are you asking if I own an NFT that claims to grant digital rights? The answer is yes. I do not know if I actually own those rights because I don't know if the claim is going to be valid in court. I also don't care. This is not the reason I own them. So I don't care. Whether or not it's valid in court, I don't care.
Wouldn't you want to know if it holds up in court?
Well, that's the thing. That's what I'm telling you. If you participate in the market, I think you will understand that most market participants do not care about this. And I think you would understand why. I can't explain it to you if you're not going to try it. This is something you have to try. I can't explain why the market doesn't care, but it doesn't. I would imagine that some people, again, if you're going to buy an NFT because you want to print a T-shirt with the NFT on it, then maybe you care. But most don't care. Most do not plan to make it a business operation, and they don't care. That's not why they buy them. And they understand that the market's still figuring it out.
Why do they buy them?
That I told you, I cannot explain to you. You will have to try it for yourself if you're interested. If you're not interested, you don't have to try. That's fine. I'm not requiring you to try it. But if you want to know, you'll have to participate in the market. And I believe that over time, you will find why people are interested in those. But again, you don't have to.
But you haven't answered the question why you would buy it or why others would buy it. You're just saying I need to go and buy them in order to know this. I have bought NFTs before in order to play with the technology.
You need to more than buy them.
Don't see the reason.
You need to more than buy them. You need to participate.
I don't see the reason in buying them. So I'm curious if you could explain it for everyone here why people buy NFTs.
No, I cannot explain it. I don't care either. I honestly don't care. The reason I own them, if you're asking me why I, Udi, own them, is because I'm interested in this phenomenon. So I'm participating in it in order to learn about it. I cannot explain to you why people buy them. I have no interest in explaining to you why people buy them. I'm not trying to promote NFTs. That's the thing. I'm not trying to convince you that NFTs are the future. I don't care. I don't care if they're going to be the future or not. I mean, I find it interesting. I would like to know, but I'm not trying to convince you. I'm not here to convince you.
Yeah, but people think frog memes are a good investment because of things you say.
I've never said that the frog meme is a good investment, Dennis. And if people listen to what I say and they decide to learn, and that learning leads them to be convinced that it's a good investment, then good for them. I never said it. I never, ever said that buying an NFT is a good investment. But
are you willing to take a bet then that the NFTs of today will hold value in 5 years?
No, because I don't know. If I wanted to take a bet, I would buy them. I don't need to make bets with you in that. If I wanted to I don't know. If I knew the answer, if I thought that NFTs are going to be huge in the future, I would just buy all of them right now. I don't know. So I'm not claiming to know. I never claimed to know this. I don't know why you're trying to get a gotcha here. I've never said that NFTs are going to be huge. I was very clear in my this entire discussion. I said, I don't know. I said I'm too old to know. What else do I need to tell you? I literally do not know. I'm not trying to promote them. I never did. Never. I just think they're interesting. And I kept saying, I say that a lot, that I think they're interesting. And I think that I find them fascinating. That doesn't mean they're going to be big. I do not know. But I want to ask you, or Log, is there a way I can share a tweet? There's a tweet I want to share here.
Go to the tweet and then use
I go to the tweet.
Yeah.
I see.
Then go to the up arrow to share, and it'll be the first option with the diamond. While we're waiting, I just want to say I think this has been a really great exchange of ideas. I found myself nodding with both of you. And I consider myself a non-toxic Bitcoin maximalist, so I guess that makes sense. But I thought a lot of great information was shared here. And if you guys are ready, we can start bringing other people on stage.
So I'll be ready in a moment.
Okay.
In a moment, but there's one more point I want to make. I shared a tweet here on the top. It's saying, you have Dennis Porter saying that Sean Adams, who's an Ethereum influencer, he's saying that he's trolling Bitcoiners and that you need to stop giving this scammer attention. He's saying this about Sean Adams. The reason I'm bringing this up is because Dennis said repeatedly that he's not calling people scammers.
I never said that. That's actually an absolute attack on my character. I said that I do not call NFTs a scam. The fact that you would actually extrapolate that to try to attempt to demean me in this way is shocking.
No, I'm not trying to demean you.
That you would try to take the words that I said, that the NFTs are not a scam. I never said that NFTs are a scam.
Okay.
That doesn't mean that I never call people a scammer. In fact, I said multiple times that it's important to keep scammers out of the Bitcoin community. And I find it pretty shocking that you would try to sideline the conversation with a tweet like this. I don't find it
shocking at all.
It's very toxic of you, actually, Udi.
No, it's not toxic. I'm telling the truth, and I think people can check the recording later and look at what you said.
I never said I don't call people scammers. I said I don't call people that buy NFTs, people that contribute to the market, I don't call them scammers. But now you're saying because I called Ryan Adams a scammer, which I'm okay with upholding that comment, because I believe that he regularly lies to people about what Ethereum is and what Bitcoin is. I think that he is a scammer.
So I think you should, anyone listening to this, it's very easy to do a Twitter search, and you can type Dennis Porter's name with the word scammer. Just look
Go
at
ahead.
how many
There's
times
plenty of scammers in this world that need to be labeled scammers.
So I don't think they need to be labeled scammers. I don't think you need to call anyone
People should
scammer.
be aware of who they can and cannot trust in this market. I have no problem calling people scammers. Never said that I don't call people scammers.
You are not the authority to call people scammers. You know nothing about who's the scammer and who isn't. You know nothing about Ryan's intentions.
If people lie to investors, I will label them a scammer.
Well, where did Ryan lie to an investor?
He regularly labels Ethereum as the next Bitcoin. He calls it ultrasound money. Ultrasound money is a very clear. That's a clear lie. That's a clear lie. No, it's a clear lie. Sound money has a direct definition. Money itself starts off as a collectible, becomes a medium of exchange and a unit of account, store of value, and then sound money is money. Sound money is
another tweet.
Sound money is money that holds its value over long term without dramatic changes in its price. Trying to claim that Ethereum has the principles in order to be sound money is a lie, and thus he is a scammer because he is lying to everyone in the marketplace.
This is so hard to listen to. Here's another tweet, Dennis, of you saying, quote, NFTs are a total scam. You are not buying art. You're buying a digital token. You're literally saying NFTs are a total scam. It's right here on top right now. You can look at it. You said you never call NFTs a scam. Here it is. So, I mean, you keep doing this, and this isn't a gotcha. I'm really not trying to get you here. What I'm trying to do is to say, this is how toxic Bitcoin maximalists behave. They call everything a scam all the time, and then they say, "Oh, we just we don't do that. We're great people. We're very nice. We just don't know. We're just exploring it." And then they go ahead and call everything a scam. It's right there. You can look at it. It's right there. You can see it.
If you try to actually go and look up this tweet, you cannot find it. So I'm not sure where you're getting it from.
Dennis,
I was muted. Sorry. It's right there. You can look at it. But anyways,
regardless of the record, I think Dennis has made it pretty clear what he does and doesn't consider a scam.
Yeah, we can move
Dennis,
on.
I reply to the tweets.
My comments and my line on NFTs has been very clear from the very beginning. I believe that the way that NFTs are being sold to people is a lie. And when you lie to people, you are scamming them. You aren't buying art when you buy an NFT. Even this tweet up here that looks like it may or may not have been falsely produced.
I updated it. You can see the original tweet. It wasn't falsely produced. Here it is. This is the original tweet by you saying NFTs are a total scam.
I don't see it anywhere.
It's literally at the top of the room. Maybe it takes time to update, but it's literally at the top of the room. It says, Dennis Porter says NFTs are a total scam. It's right there. It's not, I didn't produce it. I don't have little elves that create this for me. This is it. This is you. You can click on it.
Yeah,
and see
the way NFTs are being sold is a total scam.
Yeah, okay.
You aren't buying art. You are buying digital tokens that have no true value or connection to the artwork. That marketing approach is a scam.
That's okay. I think we can move on to questions. I think my point is clear.
I don't think it is clear. I think it's important to realize that the marketing in this approach of the NFTs is a scam.
I think it's very not important, very not true, but we both made our points clear.
I don't think your point is clear. You believe that it's okay for people to be scammed in the marketplace and that for people to lie to the average person.
No, Dennis, this is not at all what I said. I never said that. It's obviously not okay for people to lie. However, you do not know enough about this market to claim that this is a scam and people are lying. By the way, I'm sure some people are lying. Okay, this is for sure correct. Some people are lying about it. But I don't think you know enough to claim this entire market is a scam or say NFTs, quote, are a total scam.
The majority of the market is built on ladder trading and speculation and is being sold to the average investor as the future of the marketplace. And that is a scam. People think that they're owning these things. They do not own them. They own the NFT. They do not own the digital art itself.
You voiced that opinion.
That's very clear, and you don't have a counter argument to that point.
No, my counter argument is that it's stupid. I told you, people don't care.
It's an assumption, Dennis.